Good morning and welcome to Factotum Life. Before me is a 1986 Yamaha SRV, and we are in the midst of making a multi-part series or episode series on revival of this snowmobile. I have episode 1 that is out, and that is on the removal of the engine, which also included removal of the clutch. The clutch took up the majority of the time, but we did get the engine out. Today what we're going to be working on is sort of assessing what our situation is without this engine in. So this is going to be including cleaning up the engine bay, making note of any parts that we need to obtain. I also want to flip this over and take a good look at the suspension in the track and see if there's any potential issues that I'm not seeing with it. And then the final thing is we've got 35 years worth of grime in the engine compartment, and it really stinks. It just has that nasty old gas, old grease smell to it. So I'm going to work on cleaning that up. We'll go from there. Hopefully we don't need too many parts for this. We're sort of at the age where parts are hard to come by, and the people that do have parts want. Nonetheless, we'll try to figure out what we need for it. One of my skis seem to be loose, and as I start to turn, we have a tie rod that is probably, I can turn the nut by hand and it's literally ready to fall out. So it's good that I actually inspected this. Gone ahead and we've cleaned out the tub of our snowmobile, and as you can see here, there's not a whole lot really to look at. What my plan, I had kind of indicated, wasn't entirely sure how far I wanted to clean this up, and what I am going to do, there is some bare metal, there's some corrosion starting that's fairly well along. So what I want to do is I want to protect it, and I am not, the goal of this project is to make this snowmobile operate again. I'm kind of tired of working on this. So I've owned this for 21 years, and for the most part, it really actually seems like I've always worked on it and then I'd ride it a little bit. I'd like to get it to the point where it somewhat reliably works, and we're getting close. A lot of stuff's been worked on in the engine. I'll discuss that later. What we're going to do here is, a couple years ago, I actually rebuilt went through the carburetor. I think we have that working pretty well now. The fuel pump, though, I've never touched. I went ahead and ordered a rebuild kit. I'll tape that. We'll see how well it goes and how well it turns out, I guess. I do have replacement hoses. These hoses are very hard, and they're at the point that they probably should be replaced. So I would like, while I'm doing the fuel pump, I'd like to try to get access to the fuel tank to replace the fuel line. And then one final thing too that I'm gonna probably do, it's not a big deal, is the wiring harness. There's not too many wires. They're getting kind of old, kind of brittle, and I might just go ahead and rebuild the wiring harness. 35 years old, with heat, the wires start to kind of break down. So I think that's a reasonable repair to do. So in the meantime, though, I don't want to just hit this with paint. A lot of it would just flake off again with the heat, and then I'm not exactly cleaning up the rust. So what I've decided to do is I'm gonna spray it with the Amsoil heavy duty metal protector. I have no affiliation with this company. I just have a bunch of these spray bottles. When it dries, it leaves sort of a dry wax-like film. It would be perfect for this application to slow down the metal corrosion, ensure that this snowmobile is still around in, another 20, 30 years. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do with some of our corrosion. Maybe not what someone else would do, but I'm not interested in doing a complete rehab rebuild on this. I think we want to make it good enough to use around the property. So that's kind of what we're doing in here. One other item that we have to address, I've never really looked at. I don't know how much oil is in here. I don't even know what kind of oil it takes. I do have a factory manual for this, so I will go and look all that up. We may want to probably drain this off and put new fluid in it. This is the chain case drive. So, and the sled has about 3,200 miles on it. So now might be a good time to drain that off and do whatever service is necessary there. That we need to address is I'm gonna flip this over, and we're gonna take a closer look at the track and suspension and see if there's any issues in there. Overall, it doesn't seem to be in too bad of condition. I see a couple of grease zerks that I need to hit with grease, but overall, not too bad. track guards. Now we need a couple of track guards. Can do that, I guess. It's not a big deal. All our bogey wheels seem to turn. Track itself, it's got some damage, but seems to be holding up. All right, we flipped over the snowmobile and just kind of inspecting everything. On the surface, it looks okay. However, there is some work that needs to be done. We have track guides that are plastic that are starting to wear out right in this area. We're down to aluminum, so we'll have to find some track guides. On top of the track guides, I checked all the bogey wheels and they appear to be okay on the surface. However, I did notice back here, you can see we've got bearings that are visible. It's definitely not what we want to see. I did notice when we dragged this out that the track was not really moving. So we're going to have to replace that rear bogey wheel or that bearing, one of the two. And then we'll flip it over and we'll see what these other ones look like. Okay, so with checking with our mirror, looks like the grease seal is out on this one, so probably got the same thing going on the other side. We have a couple bogey wheels that are starting to they're still kind of together, but there's some gouges taken out of them. I'm not going to worry about those right now.